Food is everything we are. It is an extension of nationalist feeling, ethnic feeling, your personal history, your province, your region, your tribe, your grammar. It is inseparable from those from the get-go. This was said by Anthony Bourdain. COVID-19 generated thousands of global images of gloom, but also of hope. It is keeping the world on edge. For generations to come, the still images of this historical battle foisted on the human family will serve as reminders on the fragility of life and that armaments are not the only dire threat to it. Although united by a universal goal of defeating the virus, every country faces its unique battle in keeping people away from infections and death. For some, such as Singapore, the pandemic ground to a halt a cherished cultural norm. I attempted to capture these moments that few might have thought worthy. Modern Singapore was founded on the backs of migrants. They came from all corners of the world, chiefly from Asia, when Sir Stamford Raffles established a trading port in 1819. It was inevitable that in a small island that over time their cultures fused, no more so than in everyday food. This literal melting pot inspired them to concoct new dishes from each other's ethnic food. This gastronomical evolution eventually found its way into the alleyways of 19th century Singapore. With thousands of immigrants flowing to the colony in its early years, many turned to hawking cheap food to fill hungry stomachs. Over the subsequent decades and into the next century, these vendors began to sell every variety of ethnic food. In post-independent Singapore, hawker centers were built from 1971 to house street food vendors in a clean environment under one roof. As married couples moved out of the kitchen and joined the workforce in droves in the later half of the 20th century, it became official policy to build hawker centers in every town and residential district. This gave Singaporeans easy access to scores of vendors selling all types of inexpensive food. As a consequence, it entrenched in them the culture of dining out for almost every meal. From gentry to ordinary folk, the hawker center evolved into an important part of Singapore life. It is a community center of sorts, connecting people of all races, all religion, and all age and gender. The high demand they created and the competition that came with it produced quality food of the highest standard at the lowest level that has been internationally recognized. In 2016, the Michelin Guide awarded a Singaporean hawker the world's first and cheapest Michelin-starred street food for its Hong Kong-style soya sauce chicken. But this love affair with and almost complete dependence on the hawker to feed a country has consequences. COVID-19 made this point. When circuit breaker regulations were imposed to restrict the movement of people with social distancing and work from home, the nation was suddenly wrapped in a pale of gloom. There was concern on how it will hit the hawker trade and, if any, its lasting effects on a cultural institution. Anders Peterson once said, "In black and white, there are more colors than color photography. Because you are not blocked by any colors, so you can use your experiences, your knowledge, and your fantasy to put colors into black and white." Capturing people in close range without interrupting their natural state and mood is a challenge for any photographer. To record the events of my subjects at hawker centers as the COVID-19 pandemic unraveled from the early 2020, my choice of weapon is a stealthy Samsung NX500 mirrorless camera. It is versatile enough to sling over the shoulder and take shots while holding a tray of food in one hand and without the need to look through the viewfinder. My images taken in the 4 periods during the pandemic, which is before the virus outbreak, during the circuit breaker, and phase 1 and 2 of reopening of the economy, reveals a story of human drama. There is a social context of hawker center, the focal point of interaction for the rich and poor, young and old, families and independents, and the able and the disabled, all equal without needless hierarchies. When the virus hit, rendering these places like deserts, the picture of birds that refuse to take flight tell the entire story of a nation back into a corner. The scenes could have come off the reels of Steven Soderbergh's Contagion, except this is real life in motion. In recording this event in monochrome, I took a leaf from the pages of Martin Parr, the master of capturing human emotions who hands the responsibility of coloring them to his audience. My black and white work is more of a celebration, and the color work became more of a critique of society, he famously said. But in narrating this human drama, I follow the lead of the Cartier-Bresson, whose 35mm Leica in his day gave him spontaneity and anonymity. As a great French photographer once advised, a photograph is neither taken nor seized by force. It offers itself up. It is the photograph that takes you. One must not take photos. My work offers hope too. I cover the opening up of society in phase 1 and 2 from the eyes of hawker center patrons. After months of forced desertion, they are back at the top haunts, but cautiously. The men and women working tediously in their stores breathe a sigh of relief. Once again, they are able to see the joy of their patrons taking the food they have prepared. This story is still unfolding for a nation that is holding up for emancipation of their birthright, and I am not done telling it.